Guys, this is just unbelievable. The Ministry of Defense of Russia was hacked once again, and most likely as a result of this, the air defense systems of Russians in Crimea became fully immobilized, as well as the Russian drone control systems. Besides that, most of you already heard about the interview of Tucker Carlson with Putin, but let me tell you what, there was an extremely important thing Putin said in the very beginning that a lot of us missed. And today I will tell you exactly what is this. It's about the invasion in the future. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. Guys, I cannot say it too much because today's episode is from the library. And long story short, there is this sign in one of Russian libraries which is saying that you cannot speak loud. Well, pretty much in every single library around the world. Unless you're gonna say something about NATO. In this case, you can say as loud as you want, especially if it's something bad. And speaking about NATO, this is something what Putin did mention in this most recent interview with Tucker Carlson. We're gonna speak about this very soon, and just once again, guys, do not skip that part because this is something I have not heard anyone on YouTube discussing so far. So this information will be very important. But before this, let's talk about the Ministry of Defense of Russia being hacked once again, and potentially as a result of this air defense system being fully immobilized. And long story short, the defense intelligence of Ukraine was able to once again access private documents and files of the Ministry of Defense of Russia, which they used to exchange the information with the authorities of Russia, potentially with Putin himself. And my only question here, Ministry of Defense of Russia, how can you do it once again? I mean, the only thing that comes to my mind literally is that Sergei Shoigu is browsing the internet from his work computer, and then he sees an advertisement which says, "Congratulations, you are the 10,000th visitor of this website. Please click here to claim your brand new iPhone 14 Pro." Or maybe he just saw some advertisements with single moms in his area. I have no idea what he saw, but the result is that they got hacked again. Besides that, the defense intelligence of Ukraine was also able to, let's call it like this, hack Russian drones, which basically means they were not able to connect them with the remote controls, and practically pretty much they were not able to use them. Which is also another big achievement that they were able to do against Russia in information and IT war. And by the way, if you want to see these secret documents of the Ministry of Defense of Russia, which were leaked to the public, I did upload all of them, whatever I found, to my Patreon. The link is down below. And by the way, another leaked information told me that 47% of you guys are still not subscribed to my channel, which is becoming completely unacceptable. And I mean, okay, it is quite understandable for you, maybe Alan, Alaric, Albert, Alberto, and Alden. Maybe you are the ones who think that it's okay, I don't need to subscribe, but no guys, you also have to subscribe to my channel. And if you are also wanting for me to say your name, guys, it's coming, don't worry, just subscribe to my channel as well, and eventually I will call your name out loud as well. And one more thing, some of you guys were paying very close attention to my previous episode, and you saw that my typical Love and Order hoodie is no longer in use. Right now it's the TR Dude, the Russian Dude branded hoodie. You might ask, what is this? Is merch coming or something? If you want to know more information, please go ahead and follow me on Instagram, because some very big announcements and reveals I'll be publishing there on my personal Instagram page. And the link is down below. I'm very excited for you to see it. And so yes, now let's quickly talk about the situation in the south and in the east of Ukraine, where air defense systems of Russians were fully immobilized, at least temporarily, potentially, as a result of this hack attack. And then we're gonna talk about the interview of Putin, where he revealed his next invasion plans. And speaking about the complete failure of the Russian air defense systems, right here we have a video from Crimea where a Ukrainian French-made metallic cylinder called Scalp is passing by, surrounded literally by several S-3 and S-400 air defense systems of Russians, and not a single one of them is reacting at all. The only thing they can do is the Russian soldier who is filming this video, he's like, what is happening? Why are they not working? And he's just being fully bamboozled. Could this be the result of this recent Ukrainian hacker attack against the Ministry of Defense of Russia? I mean, yes, why not? Besides that, Ukrainians also were able to reportedly destroy an electronic warfare system of Russians, along with the concentration of their infantry in Radyansk. As we go to the east, we make a very quick stop on the territory of Russia in Krasnodar region, where reportedly 2 oil refineries of Russians have been completely destroyed, most likely as a result of a Ukrainian attack, which Russians never acknowledged. But the fact is the fact. There is a very big ball of fire. In response to that, Russians attacked a residential area in Kharkov region. As you can see from these videos, the damages are quite substantive. And what was damaged was a residential civilian building, a recreational complex, a dining hall, and reportedly office building. As you can see, nothing of this sounds like a military target. Besides that, Russians also dropped several aerial explosive devices, let's call them like this, in Sumy, and as a result of this, literally a civilian neighborhood was severely damaged, and unfortunately there are casualties. And just in general, Ukrainian air defense was able to intercept still 10 out of 16 Russian Shahed drones in the last 24 hours. But unfortunately, as you can see, Ukrainians are no longer intercepting every single Russian drone, because in comparison to the previous month, the number of interceptions, successful ones, dropped by 33%. And the reason for this is because Russians adjusted the strategy how they use their drones to attack, and now instead of them just flying in the straight line, they changed the direction, they maneuver, they put a lot of drones at the same place at the same time to confuse the electronic warfare systems of Ukrainians. And as you can see, once again, as a result of this, the number of the interceptions decreased by 1/3. But speaking about Ukrainian drones, Russians were able to intercept a brand new jet-powered drone from Ukrainian side, as you can see on this picture, which is only the second recorded time of this type of drone being intercepted. And another very promising thing from the Ukrainian side is this picture of a F-16 fighter jet, which is already painted with Ukrainian identification marks. F-16s are coming. Alright, now back to the east of Ukraine, and just a couple of last words from this front line before we can discuss something very important which came to us from Putin's interview to Tucker Carlson. And first of all, we'll make a stop in Kreminna forests located to the south of this settlement, where there's a video from Azov battalion soldiers who are fighting against Russians. They are successfully pushing away the Z army, and then Russian soldiers simply abandon their injured comrades and start to run away. Then in Belohirivka, located right here, reportedly a pretty big group of Russian infantry has been destroyed by Ukrainians. And then right here is the compilation video from the Donetsk front lines, where a Ukrainian HIMARS is destroying several extremely important fat targets of the Russian military, such as, for example, Hyacinth self-propelled artillery system worth of $3 million, Raider for Buk worth of $10 million, Buk M2 air defense system $30 million, and then another electronic warfare equipment called R330 Zhitel worth of approximately $10 million. As you can see, HIMARS was an extremely important and successful and necessary addition to the Ukrainian military. Yes, you guessed it, the fully uncensored compilation of these destructions also will be available on my Patreon, link is down below. Our next stop brings us to Avdiivka, where Ukrainians slightly modify their FPV drones, which basically means they increase the size of the warhead, which in return increase the size of the burning ball, obviously. And then a little bit more to the south, in Novomikhailivka, Ukrainians reportedly were able to repel 12 assault attempts of Russians in the last 24 hours alone. And just in general, from Ukrainian side also in the last 24 hours, they were able to destroy 7 concentration of Russian troops, 2 ammunition depots, 2 artillery systems, and 1 logistics hub of Russian forces. And so yes, now it is time to briefly talk about the interview which Putin gave to Tucker Carlson. I'm sure most of you either have seen it or at least heard about it, so I'm gonna just quickly summarize it, but most importantly, I'm gonna mention something that looks like nobody on YouTube is talking about, at least so far, which is next invasion plans which Putin hinted to us in this interview. And so yes, first of all, interview started with Tucker Carlson pretty much asking, why did you invade Ukraine? And Putin said, give me 30 seconds, I'm just gonna give you a brief history of Russia. And then he went to talk about the history of Russia all the way from 9th century for more than 30 minutes. This alone already created a lot of memes. But in all seriousness, here are the main statements that Putin made. First of all, he said that if the US wants war in Ukraine to be over, it is simple. Just America needs to stop sending weapons to Ukraine and then war will be over in just a couple of weeks. I don't think that he means here just a peaceful talk and resolution, like let's just talk and shake hands and all gonna be good. So obviously this is never going to happen. He was then also mentioned that Ukraine never pretty much existed as a country. Ukraine was created in the head by Polish people, and then Ukrainians were like, okay, then yeah, I guess this is our country, but we always feel like we are Russians. And then, speaking about Putin personally, he was always deceived by the West. They never kept their promises. They told Putin that yes, you are more than welcome to join NATO, but you know what, like actually no, you're not gonna join NATO, instead we're gonna expand closer to your borders, which made Putin upset because he was kinda like a kid that no other kids wanted to play with him. But what looks like a lot of people missed from the very beginning of the interview is that the next country that Putin might potentially invade. So, he started talking about Lithuania. He said that historically a lot of Russians lived on the territory of Lithuania, which eventually was seized and occupied by Poland. And then those Russians in Lithuania, they were struggling from oppression. Those Polish people were making fun of Russians living in Lithuania, however much sense it makes. But he was basically saying this, pretty much hinting that in case this continues once again, in case people from Poland continue to make fun of Russians in Lithuania, like, yes, I'm being serious right now, then Russia might protect itself, protect its citizens living in Lithuania by attacking Poland. This is already just a complete nonsense. But just once again, speaking about the interview, this time from Tucker Carlson's side, after the interview itself, he made this short video saying that Putin looks like he is serious, he believes what he says, he believes in what he believes, and in case Ukraine tries to take Crimea by force, Putin will be ready to use nukes to protect the peninsula. And by the way, I was also able to find behind the scenes photos of this interview, so if you're curious to see what it looked like, also you can find them on my Patreon. The link is down below. There is 1 week of free access for every single one of you to try the service if you like it or not. This time we're talking about the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, who was saying that those statements by the West that we want to attack NATO countries, they are absurd. This is exactly what representatives of Russia was saying about Crimea before 2014. They were saying, why would we need to attack Crimea? I mean, this is Ukrainian land. Then they took Crimea in 2014. This is exactly what they were saying about in 21 and 22. Like, we're not gonna invade Ukraine. This is absurd. Why would we start a war in 21st century? And then in February 22, they invaded Ukraine. And now Sergei Lavrov is saying exactly the same. Guys, this is absurd. We're not gonna fight against NATO. So now, let's see. And obviously, he then started to say that the reason for this, in case it happens, will obviously be to protect the Russian civilians living on those territories which are historically belonging to Russia, and those Russian citizens are being oppressed by those Western countries. Exactly, word by word, the same statements that Putin was making about everything previously before the actual invasions. But wait, there is more. The ex-president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who is very strangely behaving guy on the internet, he said that if Japan wants peace with Russia, they should drop all the territorial claims to Kuril Islands, they should behave properly, they should surrender every single claim to every single piece of territory that belongs to Russia, and then we might consider shaking their hands. Because honestly, and this is a real fact, there was never been a peace agreement between Russia and Japan since the end of the Second World War, so just technically, on the paper, those two countries are still kinda at war. Which gives Medvedev perfect reasons to say such offensive things, to just claim that, guys, it's either you just surrender to us completely, or we're gonna use weapons against you, we're gonna invade Japan just to protect our Kuril Islands. Which is yet another claim by the Russian authorities which other countries are risking being invaded by Russia. Honestly, I do not think it will be Japan. I do not think it will be maybe some NATO countries like the most recent ones, the Scandinavian countries. But Poland, which was Putin talking about directly in his interview, I still think it's a very small probability, but the probability is there. For this reason, the US and the rest of the world should not stop supporting Ukraine, because Ukraine literally serves as the shield between Russia and the rest of Europe, and they must withstand, they must repel this invasion and win in this war. I will be continuing to make these videos until the end of the war, hopefully victorious for Ukrainians. So guys, once again, if you do appreciate this style of daily updates, feel free to subscribe to my channel. You're more than welcome to do it. You're welcome in the Russian Dude community. Thank you so much, patrons, for your support. Please follow me on Instagram for very crucial updates, and see you on Tuesday.